looking at the UK armed forces, they're about half the size that they were 30 years ago. Do you think it's time that we upped our defence spending?
Oh, well, I certainly think that. I think there are very few Conservative MPs who wouldn't say that. But, you know, let's just be clear that we actually spend more on defence than the Russians spend on defence. Of course, their buck goes further because the recruits are paid $25 a month. And, of course, you get paid a decent wage because it's a volunteer army here. Also, our equipment works. It's maintained. There isn't corruption. Whereas I know in the Russian army, and I have very, very strong contacts with Russia, in the Russian army, money is siphoned off, goes into generals' pockets, or as they would say, into their pension scheme. And we found that out, didn't we, in their invasion of the Ukraine? I mean, first of all, they thought it was only going to take 4 to 5 days. They had only 4 days of food supplies. They only had 5 to 7 days worth of equipment. Most of the recruits didn't even know they were doing an invasion. 3 snatch squads were sent in and were in place in Kyiv to try and capture Volodymyr Zelensky. 1 got within 5 minutes of him, but thank God failed. So what they thought was going to be a very quick action failed. By the way, you mentioned Finland, but Sweden too. Very neutral country. Sweden too is going to be joining NATO, and they'll be making their applications. Both have to be ratified, both in Helsinki and the Stockholm parliaments. But it's very exciting. And by the way, can I just say, sorry, I'm monopolising it. But, you know, for me, it's interesting because when I did as I always like to say, a real job before I became a member of parliament, one of the things I did was set up radio and television stations. One of those radio stations was Moscow Echo, which was only closed about 3 weeks ago by Putin. It was the last Moskva Echo, there I'm showing off. Moskva Echo was the last independent radio station and independent voice in Russia. But the great thing is, although the vast majority of the population only get their news from the state broadcasters now, the people who are actually knowing what's going on, they've all got virtual private networks, which have not yet been blocked. They're getting the news. They do know what's going on. And I'm just going to give you a little insight. I was told that the original plan was that Putin was going to announce the mass mobilization of the Russian army at the recent May Day celebrations. He was dissuaded from doing so because they didn't want to provoke NATO. And also it was said, we haven't even got the equipment. So what's the point of mobilizing everybody if they can't even get to the Ukraine?